Sawadee welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So today I am going to teach you probably the most useful recipe that I will ever teach you. And that is what I like to call the universal stir-fry sauce. This is a sauce that you can use to stir-fry literally everything. I mean, everything. Vegetables, meat, noodles. You can make fried rice with this. You can stir fry pieces of cardboard and it would be delicious. And so I learned this technique from working in Thai restaurants where most of them will actually have some version of this as their base stir fry sauce that they will mix in advance, and then that goes into just about all of their dishes. And then of course with each dish they'll modify it by adding, one more ingredient here, one more ingredient there to modify it a little bit, but the base is the same and it's going to save you so much time because when you're really in a rush, you can just use it as is. You don't have to add anything to it and it's good on everything. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, super easy. The base of the sauce is going to be oyster sauce. Now, the exact ratio can vary depending on whatever you want to do, but I like to make oyster sauce the biggest part of this base sauce. Okay, so I've got some oyster sauce here. If you're vegetarian, what you want to use is something called vegetarian stir-fry sauce. So if you go to a bigger Asian market, you're going to see something like that has a very similar consistency to oyster sauce, and that's made to be an oyster sauce substitute. Okay, now to this, I'm going to add some soy sauce, and I'm using Thai soy sauce, but you know what? You can use whatever kind of soy sauce that you have for this. What I'm also going to add, surprise, is fish sauce. Now, fish sauce is a smaller proportion because you don't want things to taste, too fishy here, but you can definitely put more if you want. You can stop here, but I like to add Golden Mountain sauce. It's another type of soy sauce. Has a little bit more intense flavor. You could use Maggi seasoning instead. And I'm just gonna add a little bit here. You can just substitute more soy sauce if you want. You don't have to do Golden Mountain sauce. And by the way, I want to mention that Golden Mountain is a brand. There are Thai seasoning sauces that come in other brands as well. So another brand that I'm using right now at home is the Healthy Boy brand, which is the brand that I use for my soy sauce. So this is my soy sauce bottle. They also make a version of Golden Mountain sauce. I guess the generic name for that would be a seasoning sauce, which is green. Okay, so if you can't find Golden Mountain, maybe another brand exists. So there we go. So that is my base stir-fry sauce. You can put this in like a squeeze bottle like this, keep it in the fridge. It'll last literally forever because this is just super salty stuff. Now, I want to show you a couple ways to modify it as an option. You can also add black soy sauce or dark soy sauce. If you tend to like your stir fries a little bit darker in color, maybe richer, has a little bit more of that sort of molasses flavor, you can add the Thai black soy sauce or just Chinese dark soy sauce. Keeping in mind that Chinese dark soy sauce is saltier. I would just add maybe 1 teaspoon of this, 2 at the most. Otherwise, all your stir fries are going to be dark. And this you can scale up as much as you want. Like back in the restaurant, they would literally use 6 bottles of oyster sauce in every batch, and like a whole bottle of fish sauce. So it lasts forever. So that's your base sauce. When you go to actually cook it, there are a couple things you can add to kind of jazz it up so that things taste, different each time. One thing you can add to jazz it up, Thai chili paste. So Thai chili paste has a really sort of rich, sweet, intense, a little bit smoky flavor, and a little shrimpy. There's dried shrimp in there, and it adds a very different flavor to your stir fry. I will link to some recipes where I use Thai chili paste in a stir fry below, so you can add that just like around a tablespoon or something in each wok. The other thing you can add is tao tiao, or fermented soybean paste. So this is sort of like our version of miso. Sometimes when we stir fry vegetables, we like to add this in it, and it's quite salty. So I would do maybe half tao tiao and then half of stir fry sauce when you go to cook it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a demo of how you might be able to use this in like a simple weeknight stir fry, and we'll talk about how much to use when we go to cook. Before we move on, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, Skillshare. So if you love my show, I'm gonna guess that you love to learn and you love to create. So you probably love Skillshare, which is an online learning community with thousands of classes on topics like photography, interior design, cooking, and even how to create a YouTube channel. Most classes are less than 60 minutes long, and each one is made up of short lessons. So even if you're really busy, it's not hard to watch just a few lessons a day, and before you know it, you're done. One class I really like is called Easy and Versatile Baking, the One Yeast Dough You Need to Know by Julia Tertian, and I love that it gives you a really solid foundation for bread baking, perfect if you're just getting started. So if you want to learn a new skill or explore a new passion, check out Skillshare, and the first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, and then after that, it's only $10 a month with an annual subscription. Okay, so here's a little stir-fry demo of how you might want to use this sauce. So tip number one is if you're going to have some sort of meat, like chicken or pork or whatever, I would still season it separately. And you'd want to do this, not right now as you're about to cook, but first thing before you prep other things. And that is just like a couple of glugs. Like that's one chicken breast. And I just need like a teaspoon or two, just so that the meat itself is seasoned all the way through. And when you slice things small, it really doesn't take that long. It doesn't need to marinate for like an hour or anything. Because if you just put in unseasoned chicken, all the flavor will be in the sauce. This way, everybody gets seasoning love. And you can think of this as stir fry 101, sort of the principles of basic stir frying. What do you put in first? What do you put in second? So I'm gonna turn it on and just sort of medium heat for now. Add in a little bit of oil. Okay, so aromatics always go in first. If you've got onions that you want to cook down to soft, you might want to add the onions before even the garlic, because garlic burns a lot faster than onion. I'm going to get this sauteing until the garlic just starts to turn golden. Not too dark, because it can get a bit bitter. I need my sauce spoon. Where's my sauce spoon? I'll just use this one. Okay, so the garlic is starting to turn a little bit golden. I'm going to go in with my protein now. Now, if you've seen my show, you know that I like to cook my protein separately so that I can really control how well the protein is cooked. But for a simple weeknight stir fry, I can just throw it in. Not a big deal. But if you want to be a little bit more precise, you would cook the protein first, take it out, and then throw it back in once everything is done. And a tip with chicken breasts also is you don't want to cut them super thin, because they will overcook so fast, and with chicken breasts, we all know, can dry up so quickly. So when you cut chicken breasts, you want them to have a bit of thickness to them so they can retain juiciness. So the chicken the outside is done. Inside's not done yet, but that's okay. I'm going to go in with all my hard vegetables. Okay. Give this a quick toss, and now is where the sauce will come in. How much sauce you want to use? This is roughly going to be 1 tablespoon per serving. So if you're cooking for one person, use 1 tablespoon. You're cooking for two. This looks like about 2 people. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons. That's obviously a very rough estimate, depends on the exact amount, but that's a good start. And then you want to taste and adjust. And then with sugar, you want to do about 1/4 teaspoon per person. Depending on the ingredient, you may want to up it to 1/2 teaspoon per person, or the flavor that you're going for. And then I'm going to turn up my heat. If you want to add extra dark soy sauce or anything like that, you can add it at this time. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. So this black soy sauce is not super dark, so I can add a bit more. If you're using the Healthy Boy brand, it's really dark, so you have to be a little bit mindful of how much you add. And then at this point, you're just getting your chicken cooked. You're getting your vegetables to the doneness that you like. It's totally going to vary from recipe to recipe, from thing to thing. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. Oh, my pepper. Can't forget about the pepper. Okay. I'm going to turn this off and then throw in my tomato and toss that in. And I don't cook the tomatoes really, because just residual heat in the wok is enough to soften them through. I don't want them to be mushy. But you can if you want to. Get them really soft, in which case they'll sort of like mush and become a part of the sauce, which is also delicious in its own way. This is a great thing about stir fry is you get to decide what you want to do with it. Okay, since this was a rough estimate kind of cooking, you always want to taste it. And I'm just looking for my tasting fork, which I don't think I have one. I cannot stress enough how important it is that you taste your cooking. And I'm so surprised the number of people who don't. Like they'll cook something and then they'll taste it for the first time when it's on the table. It's like, well, what are you gonna do with it then? You know, it's too late. Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, this ratio of 1 tablespoon per portion works for me every time. How easy is that? This looks like childhood memories to me. This is very much similar to the sorts of things that we would have on our dinner table. Don't have to think too much about it. Throw in whatever vegetables and some meat in there, and you're laughing. Looks like it needs some greenery, doesn't it? So, got some garlic chives. I'm gonna just put that on top and toss it in a little bit. There we go. Now it looks like more presentable. All right, let's try this. I mean, this type of stir fry, you definitely want to have with rice. Let's see, I want some baby corn, some chicken, cabbage. Let's just start with that. No, that's a piece of garlic, even better. Ah, the smell of childhood. Simple but comforting flavors. I mean, if you want to know what a typical Thai household eats on like a Tuesday, Wednesday night, they eat something like this, a really simple stir fry with a mixture of those sauces. And again, you can add chilies to make the spicy, you can add Thai basil, you can add holy basil, you can add Thai chili paste like we talked about. With this base, the possibilities are endless. And if you love the stir fries at your local Thai restaurant, I am willing to bet they are using some sort of this combination of sauces in there as well. So the recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. And when you make it, I definitely want to see what you do with this base sauce. You can tag me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And a special thanks to our Patreon members who help support the show. If you want to join us on Patreon for some bonus content, you can check out more information in the link below. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.